recording. So I'll chant the first line, and you repeat back the second line, or the first line that I just chanted on the second time. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite Gokula Tarani Mandala Mahite Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite Gokula Tarani Mandala Mahite Damodara Rati Vardhana Veshe Hari Nishkuta Vrinda Vipineshe Damodara Rati Vardhana Veshe Hari Nishkuta Vrinda Vipineshe Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite Gokula Taruni Mandala Mahite Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite Gokula Taruni Mandala Mahite Diksha Bhanu Dadhi Navi Shashileke Lalita Shakti Gun Rami Tabhisheke Diksha Bhanu Dadhi Nava Shashileke Lalita Shakti Gun Rami Tabhisheke Hey Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite Gokula Taruni Mandala Mahite Hey Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite Gokula Taruni Mandala Mahite Karunam Kuru Mai Karunam Videte Shanaka Shana Tanvarnita Charite Karunam Kuru Mai Karuna Varite Shanaka Shana Tanvarnita Charite Hey Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite Gokula Taruni Mandala Mahite Hey Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite Gokula Taruni Mandala Mahite Damodara Rati Vardhana Veshe Hari Nishkuta Vrinda Vipineshe Diksha Bhanu Dhadi Nava Shashileke Lalita Shakti Gun Amitavisheke Karunam Kuru Mai Karuna Barete Shanaka Shanatan Vanita Charite Hey Radhe Jaya Jaya Madala Daite Gokula Taruni Mandala Maite Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhara, Shiva Sari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda, Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaura Haribo, Haribo, Haribo. Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaura Haribo, Haribo, Haribo. Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaura Haribo, Haribo, Haribo. Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaura Haribo, Haribo, Haribo. Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaura Haribo, Haribo, Haribo. Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaura Haribo, Haribo, Haribo. Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaura Haribo, Haribo, Haribo. Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaura Haribo, Haribo, Haribo. Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaura Haribo, Haribo, Haribo. Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaura Haribo, Haribo, Haribo. Hey, Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga. Hey, Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga. Hey, Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga. Hey, Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga. Hey, Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga. Hey Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga. Hey Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga. Hey Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga. Jaya Sachinandana, Jaya Sachinandana, Jaya Sachinandana, Jaya Sachinandana. Hey Jaya Sachinandana, Jaya Sachinandana, Jaya Sachinandana, Jaya Sachinandana. 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 Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Haribo. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Haribo, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, I better stop that now or I'm never gonna finish. Haribo, 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 Haribo. Thank you. Yeah, that is a nice little kirtan there. If you guys want the MP3 for that kirtan, just let me know and I can send it to you. So I thought today that I would read a little bit from Srila Bhakti Rakshasa Sridhar Maharaj. Some of his little bhakti bites that I found on his website. There's some really good stuff here. So let me read this part. We must have the selflessness to admit that He, God, Krishna, is all in all. So there's where the joy comes from when we're singing His name. This is where the joy derives from. He is all in all. He's the lotus of our heart. You know, He's the complete whole. He is never diminished, even though many complete wholes emanate from Him eternally. Never diminished. Reality is a beautiful orchestra of his music, his transcendental flute playing. And so that's a cause for celebration. That's a cause for rejoicing and praising. So Srila Bhakti Raksha Sridhar Maharaj says here, we must have the selflessness to admit that he is all in all. Even my existence can be effaced. What's that word mean? Effaced. Effaced has something to do with babies being born. So even my existence can be effaced by his sweet will. Although we are told that the soul is eternal, still he is the absolute who can efface me, who can give me birth. This website is saying the closer that you are to your end of your pregnancy, you'll hear more about being effaced or effacing. Effacing is the process whereby the cervix prepares for delivery. So he effaced the absolute who effaced me, who gave us birth like a baby. You know, we're all a father. If you trace back the lineage of living entities, all the way back to the beginning, you'll find Krishna. You'll find Brahma and you'll find Krishna. We're all part of one big family, and our father is Krishna. We are Kirtadas, slave. The master can make or mar us. So in the Mohammedan religion, in the Muslim religion, you hear a lot of people's names are Abdullah. Excuse me. Abdullah. That's a very common Mohammedan name. Abdullah. Abd means slave. Du means of. And Allah means God. So a very common Mohammedan name is slave of God. Slave, the master can make or mar us. Marabi rakabi jo icha tohara. You can keep me, you can do away with me. This is your constitutional right. I am quite dependent. You can make or mar my fortune, anything you like. As much as you'll be able to realize your position of helplessness, so much you are enriching yourself from the real standpoint. You are acquiring a position there. This is very important, and he's going to talk about this, and it will make perfect sense to you. You are acquiring a position there, just the opposite from here. No vanity is allowed there. No vanity, no vainness. You know, when someone's being vain, we say that, you know, they're promoting themselves, or they're trying to get others to think that they're the shit. You know, we talk about that being vain, being egoistic. None of that there. All humility. Humility has got value there. Humility is valuable in that place, in that Vaikuntha. Constitutionally, we are the negative, not in the positive. This is an important understanding. This is an occult understanding as well as a Vaishnava understanding. We have no right, but all right in his sweet will alone. But all right is in his sweet will alone. Capital His. That is Prem, love, his grace. Our existence depends on that aspect of reality. Shakti. Shakti is the female aspect. Shakti, the female aspect, has its particular importance. And not that it will go to imitate the right of the male. That would be her failure. So there is the predominating and the predominated. Shaktiman and Shakti. Shakti means energy. And it says the female aspect has its particular importance. There's various kinds of Shaktis, energies, and that's our position. And it's not that it will go to imitate the right of the male. That would be her failure. So there is the predominating and the predominated. The predominating and the predominated is the relationship between male and female, or Purusha and Shakti. If we want to assert our predominating self, then we have to come into connection with Maya, the illusory energy. There we are Purusha. So you understand that he's talking about the difference between Shaktiman and Shakti, or Purusha and Shakti. So if we want to be the male part, then the female part will be the material energy. If we want to be the predominator of the reality, then our predominated is going to be lower than us, as the Maya, Shakti, as the illusory energy. Right? So that's important to understand, because Maya is female. Maya is a female force. The illusory energy is a female force. So if we want to be the predominating, if we want to be the male force, what we're going to predominate is Maya, illusion. But if we make ourselves the female force, we become predominated by Krishna, and we become one of his energies, his Shaktis. So it's saying here, but if we want to uphold that tatashta, or marginal nature of our own, then we are not Purusha. We are the female type, dependent type, or Shakti energy. In consideration with him, we are Shakti. And in consideration with Maya, we are Shaktiman, Purusha, exploiter, enjoyer. If we seek a relationship with the upper existence, we have to be enjoyed or handled. On that side, subjective existence is there. And here we come to exploit, to assert. And in connection with Maya, we can do that. And we are suffering from the reaction. Here in the illusory world, we can assert, we are the Purusha, we are the enjoyer. But this is false and reactionary. You understand that? We are male to the material energy, but we are female to God, or feminine to God. We are the Shakti to the Supreme Purusha. We are enjoyed, exploited. But of course, you know, Krishna is fair, so that's true freedom. As much as it sounds like it's not. So try to develop the attitude of your potency characteristic. This is a very esoteric statement. Try to develop the attitude of your potency characteristic. If you'll be able to do that, you'll have a value in the higher realm. This is very esoteric, but it's so crucial. By submission, pranipata, pariprashna, seva, you may be allowed to enter into that domain, otherwise not. You have to be utilized by them, by the interest of the higher land. You have to be utilized by the interest of Vaikuntha, the interest of heaven. Only then are you allowed entrance. No exploitation for the Jiva soul is possible in that land, the country of Paramatma, the soul of all souls. See? You can't exploit the material nature in Vaikuntha, because you are the feminine part. And here the material nature is the feminine part, if you can understand that. So crucial teachings, because in that land, the Purusha is Paramatma, not you. The Purusha is the soul of all souls, the whole, the most ancient of ancients. So at this point, a devotee asks Srila Bhakti Rakshasa Sridhar Maharaj, Does the false endeavor of the Mayavadis, meaning the Shivites and the Advaitists and everybody who wants to become one, does the false endeavor of the Mayavadis, Vaishnava, this is one type of endeavor, and he's cut off at that point by Srila Sridhar Maharaj, who says they cannot enter into that domain. They are showing their feats only here within the mundane, only up to Satyaloka. So only up to the seventh of the spheres. Then in Brahmloka they merge, finished. They cannot pass through Brahmloka to Vaikuntha. There's a good picture that I have of the universe, and then Brahmjyoti, and then Vaikuntha. So there's like this thin white layer of white light, and here is the material universes up to Brahmloka, Satyaloka, Jnanaloka, Maharaloka, Burloka, all this. We're on Burloka. So here's the material universe here, and you go up and you find the higher spheres and more subtle and more subtle and more subtle. But they are blocked by Brahmjyoti. And the Mayavadis, those who are aiming to merge into the impersonal oneness, they cannot pass through Brahmjyoti into Vaikuntha. Because to enter Vaikuntha, you have to have the attitude of a predominated being, of a servant. He's going to say that. They cannot pass through Brahmloka to Vaikuntha. So their idea of Soham, which is one of their mantras, Soham, I am part of the highest entity, that idea detains them in Brahmloka. They can never go upward. But by the conception, Dasoham, I am the servitor, you will be allowed into the higher level. So there's like a barrier that shields people who want to exploit the reality instead of who want to give. And so to pass through that barrier, you have to enter into Dasoham, the attitude of the servitor. Then you will be allowed to enter into the higher level. So, Nirmatsaranam Satam Mokshabhi Shandhir Api Nirashta. These are the authoritative scriptural comments. Devotee Maharaj, in Vaidhi Bhakti, what is the endeavor of the Sharaka? So Vaidhi Bhakti means Bhakti Yoga practiced through regulations, rituals and regulations. It's Vaidhi Bhakti. What is the endeavor of the Sharaka, practitioner, for somebody who has a spiritual practice? Srila Sridhar Maharaj, to follow the program as recommended in the Shastra and by the Sadhu. Later, one will gradually find himself in the proper soil, and that he is gaining some ground. That will encourage one to continue his attempt towards that upper realm. It is to be considered when ruchi, taste, conscious taste, will come. And you have a taste for these rasas. Up to ruchi, one must undergo some program recommended by the Sadhu and the Shastra, and one will progress by that help. Shravanadas, stage of hearing. Varanadas, stage of selection. Up to Apanadasa, he will take the trouble of practicing life, or sadhanadas. When the plane of self-realization, or Apanadasa, will begin, he himself will stand guarantee for his own activity. He will feel it for himself, bhav bhakti, and he won't be taken away from that position. He will feel, I am realizing a novel type of ecstasy. From ruchi, taste, progression is to ashakti, attachment, and then bhav. Bhav means love and ecstasy. So there's a difference between bhav bhakti and vaidhi bhakti. Vaidhi Bhakti is following the regulations and rituals and whatnot, which are allow you to get up to the level of Bhava Bhakti. We can acquire higher things by service. There's so much to consider. Sacrifice and have. Pay for it. Not pay in terms of money or such things, but in terms of your own self. You know, you can't buy your way into heaven. There's no credit card that you can order that can get you into heaven other than Vaidhi Bhakti, other than this process of service, of giving yourself. That earns you the credit. Sacrifice and have. Pay for it. Not pay in terms of money or such things, but pay in terms of your own self. Surrender and have. Give and get. As you give, you can get a similar thing. So it's like that metaphor we were talking about before of your stomach and eating that Tripurari Maharaj was talking about. If you give to your stomach distributes it to your body and you actually gain nutrients and whatnot. So it's like that. The more that you give, the more that you are feeding yourself with nutrients, earning credit, and you're putting money on your transcendental credit card. In other words, it's like a savings bank. The more service that you put in there, the more transcendental credit that's on your card. Je jatamam prapadyante tame thaive bhajami aham mama vartaman vartande manushya partha savarsha. Effectively, the Lord says, there is none beyond me. So even if people pray for trifling things, I give them those also. So all culminates in his final say. That is his play. But those who seriously want me, they also have to pay for that. But he is the whole self. He gives himself wholly. And as he gives, so they get. Come out with your little capital. You will get him in return. Devotee. My friend says he's bankrupt. It's a good sign to be bankrupt here. Then he will seek some shelter. He is seeking shelters. He is seeking a shelter sincerely. Devotee. He would like to arrange a loan from you. Sridhar Maharaj laughs. This is all loan. I am also in loan. Reaction. We are continuing the loan in business. Continuing the business, in loan from Gurudev. A borrowing business loan. Business on the negative side, all is on loan. Mahaprabhu said, Jare dekhe tareka Krishna upadesha. Teach whoever you see about Krishna. Amara Ajna. I am the capitalist. He takes the position of a capitalist. The truth of Maya, illusion, is difficult for us to digest. I am small. I don't like to digest or accept this. That's the rub. That is my inner evil tendency to capture another's right. We need to understand what is freedom. We are actually accustomed to think that we can encroach on the freedom of others, of the environment. That is the disease. Otherwise we rebel. I shall commit suicide. If I cannot freely exercise my will over the environment outside, I shall enter into the grave. But I won't accept slavery, a serving attitude to the environment. We are afraid to become a servant. I want to be an exploiting unit, but not a serving unit that is bound to give its freedom to another superior hand. This is where we fail, and this is the inner defect. We understand freedom as exercising our right over the environment. Why should we not accept service for the environment? Why? There we'll be reduced to the minimum position. But that is healthy for us, to serve others, to become a servant. There we can thrive by serving the environment, and especially the Lord of the whole. We think that we are dying if we accept service. That false temperament has grown within us. Oh yeah, I'll put the link on this channel if you guys want to read along. Let me find the link here. Here's the link to where I'm reading. And you guys who are listening at home, if you're interested in the link that I just posted, it's bvml.org/SBRSM. And then you're going to click on the ecstasy potency of the divine. We're about halfway to 3/4 down the page. We're like 2/3 of the way down the page. Where it says that we're afraid to become a servant. I want to be an exploiting unit, but not a serving unit that is bound up to give its freedom to another superior hand. This is where we fail, and this is the inner defect. We understand freedom as exercising our right over the environment. Why should we not accept service for the environment? Why? There we'll be reduced to the minimum position. But that's healthy for us. It's healthy to be in the minimum position. To serve others, to become a servant. There we can thrive by serving the environment, and especially the Lord of the whole. We think that we are dying if we accept service. That false temperament has grown in us. That is a foreign element entered into the jiva. It's a bitter pill to swallow. So what is service proper? We may consider the Hegelian philosophy. Die to live. Mercilessly dissolve your ego. As it is at present. Not dissolve your ego totally like the Mayavadis believe, but dissolve it as it is at present. Dissolve the false ego. Die! Here, die means dissolve mercilessly. Throw yourself into the fire. You'll come out with a bright self. Learn to die as you are. That mentally concocted body or energy, or whatever it is. Take the name of the Lord and die. Bhakti vinoda japane bhoilala. Forget yourself as you are, and you'll find your proper self there that does not die. Death is ordained for our present existence, and we must give that part of our existence to death. And what does not die will remain. Mahaprabhu discussed physical death in this way. Shanatan deha tyagi Krishna jadi paye koti deha Krishnaka Krishnanike tabe kharitha pariye. If I could get Krishna by dying, I am ready to die millions of times in 1 second. But that is nothing. This is physical death, this tamasika, a very low death. The mental death is necessary. Real death is mental death, wholesale. Even then also you may reach the tatashta or marginal stage. But here he says, die or do not die. Go on cultivating Krishna consciousness with the company of a sadhu, a Krishna devotee. Try to accumulate that internal wealth, however it is possible. Kriyatam jati kuto bhilabhyate. So this reminds me of something that I read in Prabhupada's book, Raja Vidya, King of Knowledge. It says that if you want to become, a lawyer or a blacksmith, for instance, back in the day, if you wanted to become a blacksmith, you had to join the blacksmith's guild, and they would have you apprentice under a blacksmith. You would go and live with a blacksmith, and you would be his servant, and he would teach you the craft of blacksmithing, of smithing. So it's the same thing. If you want Krishna, you have to find his pure devotee, his parampara. In other words, the disciplic succession, pure devotee, a living one, and you have to render service to him. Someone who is actually in the parampara. Let's see. The internal capital can be had only from a sadhu. Wherever you'll get it, Try to secure that innermost wealth at any price. Mere physical or mental death cannot take you to that higher stage. Excuse me. You have to dive deep into Krishna consciousness. Whenever and wherever you find such strong attachment to Krishna, try to secure it from him at any price. That will be the best utilization of our life and energy to purchase the higher thing. This is the highest thing. And that's what our life is meant for. We're meant to use our energy to purchase the highest thing. Like he said here, Krishna is a capitalist. He's the greatest bidder, as in an auction. He will pay the most, like he says here. And that is also the sacrifice of the higher thing within you, innermost hankering. By surrendering your innermost existence, such a transaction is there. The physical encasement and the mental encasement is of different types. Bhur bhuva sva maharjana tapa satya. These are the gradations of encasement from grosser to finer. So he's talking about the various lokas, but there's bodies which correspond to the lokas, you know. We're on the bottom loka, Bhur loka. And then there's this intermediary place, the Bhuvar loka, astral, and the Svarga loka, and that's the heaven, the causal plane. And then it goes Mahar loka, Jana loka, Tapa loka, Satya loka. And there are gradations of encasement from grosser to finer. There are many such varieties. And not only that, further there is the Viraj, Brahmloka, Vaikuntha. So many subtle forms of consciousness takes their manifested forms in Vaikuntha. So many subtle forms of consciousness. You know, the Mayavadis and the impersonalists are so used to, you know, in fact, somebody just posted on my channel something about how that there's no differentiation and the consciousness is one and blah, 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 blah. But, in actuality, there's much differentiation beyond that indifferentiated Brahmjyoti, beyond that impersonal, undifferentiated plane. There's actually Vaikuntha, except that their intelligence is so lacking that they can't imagine anything beyond that. So beyond that, there are many, many subtle forms of consciousness in Vaikuntha. So most subtle, the most subtle within you is Krishna consciousness, where the dedication is intense to its highest capacity. That is a great line. Yeah. I know, the Mayavadis are crazy. And even in the New Age, it's like all the New Agers are friggin' impersonalists. It's nuts. We're floating in a sea of spiritual impersonalism on all sides of the spiritual movement, quote unquote. I don't even want to think about it. And this is the dedication to that autocrat. Not to a constitutional king or agent of justice, but the dedication to Krishna is to the autocrat. You know, the whole universe goes on, and I'm pretty sure that you guys aren't controlling it. Are you controlling it? I'm not controlling it, because when I'm sleeping, I swear to God that the sun still turns, and the stars still move around their orbits, and that the seasons still flow, and, you know, time is still going on, even when I'm unconscious and sleeping. So I'm pretty sure that I'm not the one controlling it. Krishna is this autocrat. And through his various expansions and energies, he manipulates the whole thing. He's like a big puppet master. And this dedication to the autocrat, not to a constitutional king or agent of justice, but dedication to Krishna, is to the autocrat, capital A, autocrat. So, you know, on the earth, when we say that this... So when we say that we have an autocratic regime, it's usually a bad thing. You say that this government is too autocratic, It means that they're just running things without any input from the people. But it's a good thing. Trust me, that Krishna is an autocrat. Okay. The highest degree of dedication is necessary there. The gain is also similar. As much as you can risk, so much you can expect to gain. That is Mahaprabhu's direction. Don't be a miser. Surrender yourself to the autocrat, the absolute good, and you will be the best gainer. That is his recommendation. Don't be too calculative and a miser. If you find a proper place, give yourself totally. Devotee. Atma Nikshipa? Srila Sridhar Maharaj. Atma Nikshipa, to throw oneself to a proper place. So Krishna is the greatest bidder, as in an auction. He will pay the most. No one will pay as much as he, capital He. He is the highest capitalist, whimsical, prodigal. Gopendra Sutta Vinateo Nasparse Anyajan. The highest giver, the highest dedicator is Radharani. No one but Rajendranandan can venture to approach her, the king of Raja. No one but the king of Raj, Krishna, can venture to approach her. She is Mahabhava Shrarupini. Svarup means the form itself. Svarup means the truth itself. Mahabhav means the greatest love, the greatest ecstasy. So she is the form of the greatest ecstasy itself. She is Mahabhava Shrarupini, the feminine potency of that. Rupini. Sacrifice at its zenith. The zenith, the apex, the highest point of sacrifice is there in her. She's the zenith of the predominated force. She's the zenith of Shakti, of energy, of the predominated force. The highest standard ever is eternally represented there. Sacrifice in self-giving, self-surrendering, beyond all standards ever known to the world of scriptures. Hold on one second. Freaking dog. Come on, puppies. Come on. Dog was banging on the door. She is the zenith of sacrifice, of the predominated aspect. And as such, we are all expansions of her. As Lakshmi Devi has no place near Krishna, so also Narayan cannot approach Radha. What to speak of others? Not even Draksha or Matursha, not even Gopesha. Mahabhava Shrarupini, Shri Radha's unique sentiment. Shararana Prem da Deki Svatra Samata Radhara Kutila Prem Haila Bhamata Gopi Garena Rasa Nirita Mandali Chadya Radha Jahi Vane Vire Vilapa Karya. All of the gopis are of equal rank in the rasa pastimes, but some fine jealousy came only in the mind of Radharani. And after showing her superiority in chanting, dancing, etc., she suddenly disappeared after conquering the common gopis. Krishna suddenly found himself vacant. Krishna suddenly found himself vacant. The entire source of his energy was from that one point. And that is the theme of his pastimes. But when that very vitality was drawn away, he found himself vacant and searching after her. He couldn't find her. And then he stealthily left the company of the gopis in search of Radha. Jayadev has said, Kam sharirapi shamsaravashana badha shrinikalam radham madhya hiridaye tayaja vraja shundari, excuse me. So many of the Braja Sundari, beautiful gopis of Braj. These gopis of Braja, they are the predominated expansions of Radha. Radha is at the head of the 108 gopis. She is the #1 gopi out of all of them, and she occupies a special position. But the gopis are like Radha. They partake of the same essence of Radha, just not the exact same. So the gopis are the pure devotees of Krishna who have made themselves into that predominated serving Shakti. So many of the Braj Sundari, beautiful gopis of Braj. Again, Braj or Vrindavan is that pleasure garden of Lord Hari, is that highest central pivot of all things, which is the beautiful garden of pleasure of Krishna himself. So many of the beautiful gopis were on one side and Radharani was on the other side. They were all abandoned by him, and he was out searching for her. In Ramananda Sambad, it's also said, a categorical qualitative difference is there in the loving service of the gopis and Radharani. It is admitted there as happening in rasa pastimes, and Jayadev has also been quoted in this connection. I have also written a poem, the Sridhar Maharaj. Jaramaya Mahima Shri Bhagavatyam Katayam Pratipadam Anubhutha Chapi Alabhad Vidya Thadakila Rasha Murteshyam Lilavalmba Madhura Rasha Dhirada Prapadmam Prapadye. And this means in every poem of the Bhagavatam there is the presence of Radharani, because that is the conclusion to be established in the Bhagavatam by so many tales and stories and so on. The highest aim of the Bhagavatam is to establish Radha Dashyam. So all through the Bhagavatam is preparatory for that. Still, her name is not mentioned anywhere in the Bhagavatam. Alabdha. Every word is used only to prove her noblest position. Still, no name is expressly used there. Akhila Rashamurti, all sorts of ecstasy combined, is Krishna. And the main support of that Akhila Rashamrita Murti is Radhika. She is the only support of the Leela, of the pastimes of Shyam. Krishna is also called Shyam. Shyam is used in connection with the darkness of his skin. Shyam refers to the depth of his rasa, to the depth of his spiritual ecstasy. If you look in the center of an ocean, you'll find a deep blue ocean. You'll find a deep blue color. The deeper that the ocean is, the darker that the color is. And so that's like Krishna's rasa, Krishna's spiritual emotions and flavors. That is the depth of them. And the only support of the depth of his rasa lila, his loving pastimes, is Radha. Together the divine couple are the apex of every imaginable auspicious thing. The apex of every beautiful, aesthetic, wonderful, enjoyable, good thing. She is the only support of the Leela of Shyam, the fountain of Madhura Ras. I surrender myself at the holy feet of that Radharani. She is the gist of the whole life of Akhila Rasamrita Murti. Rasamrita, the nectar of rasa. Murti means the figure, the statue, the being. So Rasamrita means the nectar of that spiritual emotion, those spiritual emotions, those spiritual flavors. She is the whole life of Akhila Rasamrita Murti, Krishna, who consists in himself of all sorts of high rasa, ecstasy. She is his only support. Yes, that's a lovely quote there, Brian. Thank you. That bee has bitten the world of my heart. Indeed. So let's do a kirtan and then maybe japa, and we'll end it for today. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Dayite Gokula Taruni Mandala Mahite. Jaya Jaya Madhava Dayite Gokula Taruni Mandala Mahite. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Dayite Gokula Taruni Mandala Mahite. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Dayite Gokula Taruni Mandala Mahite. Damodara Rativa Dhana Veshe Hari Nishkuta Vrinda Vipineshe. Damodara Rativa Dhana Veshe Hari Nishkuta Vrinda Vipineshe. Damodara Rativa Dhana Veshe Hari Nishkuta Vrinda Vipineshe. Shri Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Dayite Gokula Taruni Mandala Mahite. Srimati Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Dayite Gokula Taruni Mandala Mahite. Vrishabhan Hudadhi Nava Shashi Leke Lalita Shaki Gunramita Visheke. Vrishabhan Hudadhi Nava Shashi Leke Lalita Shaki Gunramita Visheke. Hey Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Dayite Gokula Taruni Mandala Mahite. Hey Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Dayite Gokula Taruni Mandala Mahite. Karunam Kuru Mai Karuna Barite Shanaka Shanatan Varnita Charite Karunam Kuru Mai Karuna Barite Shanaka Shanatan Varnita Charite Hey Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite Gokula Taruni Mandala Maite Radhe Hey Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite Gokula Taruni Mandala Maite Damodara Rati Vardhana Veshe Hari Nishkuta Vrinda Vipineshe Pirishabhanudhadi Navashashi Leke Lalita Shaki Gunamita Visheke Karunam Kuru Mai Karuna Barite Shanaka Shanatan Varnita Jarite Hey Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite Gokula Taruni Mandala Maite Nitai Gaur Hari Bho Hari Bho Hari Bho 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 Nitai Gaura Hari Bho Hari Bho Hari Bho Nitai Gaura Hari Bho Hari Bho Hari Bho Shyam Radhe Shyam Nitai Gaura Hari Bho Hari Bho Hari Bho 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 Jaya Sachinandana Jaya Sachinandana Jaya Sachinandana Jaya Sachinandana Jaya Sachinandana, Jaya Sachinandana, Jaya Sachinandana, Jaya Sachinandana. Eternal cognizant bliss. Jaya Sachinandana, Jaya Sachinandana, Jaya Sachinandana, Jaya Sachinandana. Eternal bliss. Jaya Sachinandana, Jaya Sachinandana, Jaya Sachinandana, Jaya Sachinandana. 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 Radhe. Jaya Sachinandana, Jaya Sachinandana, Jaya Sachinandana, Jaya Sachinandana. Haribo. Jaya Sachinandana, Jaya Sachinandana, Jaya Sachinandana, Jaya Sachinandana. 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 Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Shri Radhe. Jaya Krishna, Jaya Krishna, Jaya Krishna, Jaya Shri Krishna. Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Shri Radhe. Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Shri Radhe. Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Shri Radhe. Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Shri Radhe. Radhe, Jaya Jaya, Radhe, Jaya Jaya, Radhe, Jaya Jaya, Radhe, Jaya Jaya. Krishna, Jaya Jaya, Krishna, Jaya Jaya, Krishna, Jaya Jaya, Krishna, Jaya Jaya. So if you'd like to participate in a round of japa with me real quick, we'll do that and then call it an evening. These satsangs are just getting longer and longer, I swear to God. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna Hare Ram Hare Hare Krishna Hare Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare. That is 108 Krishnas, and I will see you guys next time. Pranams to you. Thank you very much for participating in the satsang.